Welcome to Squad, your source for everything esports and gaming. Tonight, Brody is back, which means Marissa could go trigger happy on that mute button in Unmuted. Then we're looking at the month's releases in the loadout, and later on in Esports in 30, we're talking OWL. But first, you know how it goes. Time to get you caught up on the latest stories in Reported. After a long time spent away from League of Legends, veteran AD carry Forgiven is coming back. The former H2K player announced on April 1st that his mandatory military service would end on April 3rd and that he was available as a free agent for the upcoming summer split. Due to the length of his absence from the competitive scene, he's also open to boot camps and tryouts to prove his worth. Forgiven, being a Greek citizen, had to complete mandatory military service for at least 9 months. He was originally set to serve in 2016, but he managed to defer his enlistment for over a year. In that time period, Forgiven was regarded as one of the best AD carries in the world. And if he is anywhere near as skilled now as he was back then, most teams would be lucky to have him. Treyarch has announced that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is getting a second map for its Battle Royale mode, Blackout. Called Alcatraz, the map drops players into the famous prison island in San Francisco Bay for some close quarters combat. Compared to the first map, Alcatraz is a lot smaller and only has a maximum player count of 40 players. For Call of Duty fans, the map features plenty of shoutouts related to the zombies maps Mob of the Dead and Blood of the Dead, both of which were set on the island. PlayStation 4 players have access to the map right now, and Treyarch hasn't announced when other platforms will be able to play on it. And since Blackout is free to play for all of April, there's no better time to start playing it than right now. Popular streamer Shroud took part in the Apex Legends Twitch Rivals tournament today, just a few days after he underwent surgery on his left elbow. Shroud injured his elbow after a scooter accident last month and has underwent 2 surgeries to repair it. That second surgery required a plate to be inserted into his elbow, and Shroud will likely be in a cast or sling for a few months at least. Shroud said that he would rarely be streaming in the aftermath of his surgery, so his decision to compete in the Twitch Rivals tournament is surprising. Hopefully his arm won't be aggravated while he's playing, because it sounds like it hurts like hell. I would love to say that I'm excited for Blackout's new map, but let's face it, everyone's playing Apex Legends, right? Are you playing Apex Legends? Let us know on our socials. In a bit, we're looking at the games releasing this month in the loadout. But first, Brody's back, so let's hope that he doesn't drive Marissa crazy in Unmuted.
Gaming and esports, hot topics, hot tweets, and the spiciest host in town. I'm Marissa Roberto, and that's Brody Leafex Moore.
That is me, and this is how the show's going to work. Producer Tyler's got 2 minutes on the board for each topic, and we will present and possibly argue. Luckily for all of us, there's a mute button only to be used when one of us gets out of line.
Shout out to chat, because we like it when you call us out when we're wrong and praise us when we're spitting truth. So let's get right to it and start off with our top stories with some Super Smash Bros. Melee debates. Ready? In the Melee community, wobbling is a controversial subject. The move, which lets an Ice Climber player grab and infinitely damage an opponent, has been banned in several recent tournaments, such as last weekend's Battle of BC3. Supporters of the ban say that wobbling turns spectators off from Melee by making the game too slow. But others say that wobbling is simply just a technique one can use to win the game, regardless of how fast or slow it is. So, Brody, where do you stand on wobbling?
How is this still a topic? People are complaining because they suck at the game. Don't get wobbled. Like, that's straight up it. Don't get wobbled. Play Jigglypuff and you can fly away and play super defensively. Everyone will hate you too, but no, in all honesty, here's the game. One of the most beautiful things about Melee is that it doesn't get patched and there aren't changes to it, and then a meta develops around people having to discover new things. Wobbling was one of those things that got discovered, and people learned how to deal with it. I mean, playing ice climbers is pretty difficult. You know, playing like there aren't many good like Sopos out there, and learning how to desync, how to get the wobble in the first place can be difficult. That's why you don't see a lot of ices in top play.
Okay,
people are just annoyed because they don't know how to deal with it. Learn how to deal with it.
Okay. I thought that you don't get ices because people in the audience usually will troll you and boo you if you use them in any way.
Here's the other thing, is the Melee audience are super fickle beans. Like they got spoiled, okay? They had this magnificent run of Mango with an absolutely aggressive and stylistic creative approach, right? There was no formula to what he did. But clearly, that doesn't work anymore. We'd see him at the top, right? People are, now that the esport grew out to a larger audience, people found more efficient ways to play. I agree. Like in Call of Duty, I hate when you knife me in gun game. Not cool, bro. But at the same time, if it was a tournament, I couldn't get mad at you because it is the most efficient way to play the game, and that's what's happening in Melee.
Should we be praising those who use ice climbers?
I wouldn't say praise them, but I would say shut the heck up if you're telling them to stop wobble. It's part of the character, so just deal with it. I mean, like, what are we going to eventually start saying? Ban Jigglypuff? Are we going to start saying ban Marth, ban Fox, because they're the best player?
But are those people using those characters the villains in these tournaments?
No, there's dollar bills on the line, bro.
But nobody likes watching them.
Then go watch another esport. That's what I got to say to that. Anyways, that's not the only Melee topic we're going to be talking about today. At Battle of BC3, Melee player Fohibro quit a match because his opponent Chango was playing to Jigglypuff's strengths. Chango played a defensive game, running away from Fohibro once he went up a stock. So what did Fohibro respond with? He simply put down his controller, and both players sat still for minutes while the audience and casters booed. Eventually, Fohibro unplugged his controller and walked off the stage. Marissa, your turn for opinions.
Yo, that is serious drums right there, like straight up. I mean, part of me feels like, okay, he was kind of just being a sore loser because he was clearly losing and he didn't want to deal with it anymore. He was reached out to for comment afterwards, and I think he said something along the lines of, if he's not going to play, then I'm not going to either. Basically throwing shade at the character selection. So the fact that he couldn't play against it, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like you have to be able to play against every single player if you're coming up to bat. If you're in top 8, yo, that was top 8. That was straight up top 8. So you've got to come and dance. You've got to come to the party and play. You can't just stop playing. That is worth booze, in my opinion.
This is another example of someone not being able to figure out a solution and getting mad at someone else for your own incompetency. Like, you don't know how to play against that character. We've known for years, because that's how Hungry Hawks plays, that the character is going to play more defensively. They will make you make the moves. You have to learn to play around that. Amarta did it. If you want to be the best, you got to be able to play with it.
Is this like a testament to the immaturity maybe in the Melee community?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's for sure. It's the, as I said before, it's the fickleness. Like they want this esport to grow and to reach more people and more people playing it. But they don't realize that also means that new strategies will develop, an efficiency, a metagame will develop that they may not like, and they're like, oh, well, you know, actually, I want my aggressive, fast gameplay back. It's still fast. Like, Melee is still really fast compared to almost any other esport.
I mean, it's also kind of a reflection on the fact that the Melee community does not seem to like change in any way. They don't really move on with the new.
It's just FGC in general.
maybe it is the FGC, but like some players, they have actually tried Ultimate, and they still try to compete in those tournaments too, because they're showing that they can adapt and they can change and they can try to compete. But there's something about the fact that they can't let go of Melee that maybe means something. Like, I understand the love for it, for sure. You're right. It is the best one out there. I'm not arguing that point, but there is something to be said about players that can't change and don't accept change.
I love Melee too. I'm a super Melee fan. Like, the only other game I love as much as Rocket League is Melee. And you know how much I love Rocket League. There's your reference for the day.
Christ, let's move on to some Battle Royale, Brody's other favorite esports genre. Treyarch announced that Black Ops 4's Battle Royale mode Blackout will be free to play for all of April. Players on PC, PS4, and Xbox One can download the mode independently of the full game on its respective storefronts. The announcement came just after Blackout's second map, Alcatraz, was revealed, which PS4 players can play right now. So, Brody, most of the Battle Royale talk has been focused on Apex and Fortnite. Do you think going free to play can actually bring Blackout into maybe that discussion?
No.
Oh.
Like,
what the?
Blackout's dead, dude. I mean, like, Apex came out. Therefore, think about this. Titanfall was supposed to be the COD killer. The issue is they released it at the exact same time as like Battlefront and Battlefield 1 and that. Yeah, like no. Like
you're talking
other EA games.
Okay.
Silly decision. That's the reason it didn't take off. Now Apex, using a lot of the same mechanics, showing that it's better than Call of Duty in almost every single way, is blowing up. It's like, why would we go back to the Call of Duty one was good. Yeah, but Apex is way better.
Okay, but there's still a chance for Blackout to shine, I think, because there's still a huge community of Call of Duty players, people that love and live and die for COD. Why can't they try to make this something? Why do we have to abandon one game completely because one other game is out there and it looks maybe shinier and a little bit better in different ways? Like, there are different communities for each game. Why can't we maybe try to nurture and grow this one?
I actually, because there are a very limited amount of people interested in BRs right now. You can't, if you spread them too far, they're all going to die.
That is not accurate at all. There's so many people interested in BRs, tons of people playing them, tons of people watching them.
There are a lot of people interested in Fortnite. Then there's the rest of the BR people that are now spread thin across the rest of the BRs.
Okay.
But you know, I thought before, I'm like, why isn't Call of Duty on, like they should switch their esports over to PC, right? Because it's just PC Master Race, it's way better. But now I'm thinking, you know what, maybe this is the BR, besides Fortnite, for consoles. Maybe if they focus now, just keep it console. Start running tournaments console only. Stay away from PC because obviously that's overrun now by your PUBGs and Apexes.
No.
Find your market that's open and use that. But if they try to delve into PC though and any kind of tournaments for Blackout,
PC is where the money tournaments are though. PC is where the skill is. PC is where all the money goes. Like they have to still try PC. Why wouldn't they? The Call of Duty pros right now. No, there's still an opportunity for PC players to shine.
For our last story of the day, one April Fool's joke has made XQC pretty unhappy, as a lot of things do. In Overwatch, any player who played as Reinhardt on April 1st would have their text messages replaced by all caps quotes like "Precision German Engineering." XQC did not find this joke funny, as he raged at his inability to type correctly and eventually slammed his desk in anger, as XQC does.
Poor Boo Boo Baby, he's so mad.
Now, it does kind of bring up an interesting question. I have an opinion on this, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, really? Let's hear it, buddy.
But do you think it's okay for the devs to be doing, like, in a team game, you're limiting communications now?
Are you serious? You can still talk on the mic. You know that, right?
Yeah, but what if you don't have a mic? What if you're poor?
XQC is not poor.
No, but I'm giving a hypothetical here. Obviously, he's not poor, but and he could have used a mic. Actually, if I'm on his team, I don't want his mic turned on anyways. Actually, I would just delete the game.
You know what, you guys? It's one freaking day. It's April Fools. Nobody likes April Fools at all, ever. I hate going on Twitter.
April Fools is amazing. Are you dumb?
Okay, whatever. You like April Fools. So many people hate April Fools. It's so dumb.
That's because they're dumb.
Okay, maybe XQC is dumb then, not enjoying an April Fool's joke.
Not maybe.
Okay. Oh, I see. You have an opinion about XQC, do you?
Well, I think we all have a very specific opinion.
No, let's hear it, because I feel like I'm the only one shitting on him. Oh, I didn't mean to swear.
But no, he is dumb. But I don't know. I think there is a valid thing of like, if this was in ranked, I have to look at it. If this was in ranked, that's a problem. Because now that's people's putting in a lot of work, and all of a sudden you're just going to take away the ability for them to potentially communicate.
They can still communicate. What
if there's construction going on outside, and all of a sudden there's just chainsaws? You want to hear that? You want my mic on?
That's not the only mode of communication. They can still communicate.
They cannot type.
Yes, they can.
No, it's changing all their text messages.
No, you still get text coming through, Brody. No. That's just an additional message that comes.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Either way, it's going to clog, even if that is it, it's going to clog up the entire communication. What if I'm in a sick battle right now, just popping heads, pop, 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 and I don't see that my support's like, I'm not here right now because it was filled up with a bunch of other junk messages.
Filled up? Seriously?
There's only a limited amount of
There's only a limited of Reinhardts to play. You can't, not all characters are Reinhardts. It's just the one freaking character.
As XQC probably does, as he's raging at all his people.
Seriously, it's one freaking day. Calm your tits. I feel like he's playing a character. Honestly, quite honestly, I feel like he's playing a character. He needs to be clipped and he needs to be watched, and this is how you get watched on Twitch.
You're right, that is how he makes money. Either way, you're dumb. Now it's time to see what the other streamers are up to in Clip It. Our first clip comes from Raj Patel, who's making a case for poor streamers.
It is a dream of mine, and I don't own a Lamborghini for the... Kirk, tell him I don't own a Lamborghini.
What are you talking about, the Lamborghini?
No,
no, the one you don't own. No, he doesn't own a Lamborghini.
Oh, God. Tell him I own a Camry, would you? Tell him I own a Camry.
You own a Camry.
Oh, God.
Camry.
I don't own a Lamborghini. You guys don't understand. This is what I don't get, okay? I'm a Twitch streamer, all right? I'm not a millionaire. We don't make a lot of money, all right? We don't make a lot of money. $300 donation from Licky Smiley Face.
That was, I mean, you're not fooling anyone.
Meant to do that.
When you're getting like 20K views consistently, like you're making a good amount. People can do the math yourself.
Are you really?
I'm not going to do the math on camera because that usually never works out well. But like,
okay, well, $5 times 350K.
Well, that's his follower.
Somebody tell me in chat what that is.
Yeah, no, it'd be 20. Even if all those were subs, usually it's more. Even at 20K.
Oh, those are just followers.
20K times 5 is 100. Split that. That's 50K in a month. Even if he's at making 50, but usually he's making 70%.
Really
that's what I'm saying.
That's
so
really
he does own a Lamborghini.
Plus his donations, $300 donation.
Lamborghini.
I mean, listen, and maybe he wants one day and he's just building up to it. This is just a setup for this Liddy Instagram post. I'm sure he's about to drop soon. But I don't know. I don't feel bad for him at all.
Or he's in a lot of debt to the mafia and he just doesn't want to say that and he's got to pay it off.
By mafia, he means government.
The government. Forgot my taxes the last 10 years.
Yeah, all right, moving on before getting more trouble. Next, X-League pro turned streamer, I'm a cutie pie, got a special message from Riot while streaming.
Please rate your agreement. Watch them ADC streamers shouldn't play support on stream. Disagree. I think they're trying to tell me something, but my damage dealt's telling me something else.
That's actually hilarious. This is why I love April Fools.
Yeah, because Riot sent this to him as an April Fool's joke, but I mean, should more publishers be pranking players like this?
Heck yes, brother. Straight up. Like that's so fun because it just creates a sick moment, you know, on like even that, like now it's clipped, now it's shared. It's
exactly.
Yeah, as long as it's not, you know, like taking away communication abilities in a ranked match. Like we
okay, that's not what actually happened. You know what?
No, that is great though. I think that's fantastic. Most games end up having like a some sort of thing. I actually have one later in Crowd Controlled. But you know, Rocket League had one too. It had S watercolors.
We had it yesterday on the show.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
that's super sick.
He didn't watch. That was a full BS. Oh yeah, you did. He didn't watch.
I'm busy being important.
Okay, as long as you tell yourself that in the mirror every morning, baby. I know. Okay, listen, it's time now for the best time of day when we scroll through the Twitters to entertain ourselves with the things the pros and, well, sometimes average Joes have been saying. Sometimes they spark debate within the community, and sometimes personalities use these debates to get attention. Like well-known attention seeker, shut up. Thorin, who was quoted by Slasher for quoting a Monte Cristo hot take that started this whole debate when he tweeted, the next esports interviewer to open with the question, how are you feeling, gets slapped. Cage, first of all, friggin' chill. Also, I'm irritated at that, number one. Number two, Thorin pads Monty's hot take with his own, saying, nuance behind this is a lot of post-game interviewers in esports are women. They often seem too curious, first of all, wrong too, curious about the emotional impact of a result and likely seek to display empathy toward the player by gauging his state. Many men just want to know what they think.
You know she doesn't actually have a valid argument on this when she's starting to pick out grammar.
What are you talking about?
That's
I'm just saying for someone who like he's professor, okay? Full-on professor, like tell me more about these nuances. If he's gonna be professor, maybe he should check his grammar before he tweets.
Okay, you're right. I do like a grammar, but at the same time.
No, like he's playing professor. No, seriously, he's playing professor.
You're gonna need this closer to you.
Why? What do you want to say?
No, here's the thing. At the end of the day, I think Thorin actually makes a lot of good points. He doesn't do it in the best way. He's definitely a little bit toxic about it sometimes, but oftentimes he's very right about a lot of the things that he says, okay? In this case, I think absolutely it's stupid that people are always asking, how you feeling? Right, come up with something better.
Kate, you've got literally 0 points.
That's so safe.
So I'm just gonna mute him right now because he's not even saying words that are relevant. Listen, I don't really think that Thorin making this point really was a point at all. He just wanted to come in and say something. Monte Cristo was getting a lot of play off of this, so Thorin's like, I'm going to get some play off this too, and I'm going to say something about women, because usually people like to respond to me after I say something. And the thing is, like, the way he said it, it wasn't like he was attacking women, because the way he was phrasing it, you're right. Like, he could have phrased it a little better, but he said that women tend to ask, how are you feeling, because we're more empathetic, which, you know, might be a valid point. Maybe we are more empathetic because we do share those feelings.
That's where I was getting.
But I feel like the whole thinking and feeling question, like, I don't think that plays to Monte Cristo's point, because he was making it seem like, listen, this is just a lazy line of questioning. Like, you should come at it with something more.
There are two things. One, it's a lazy line of questioning. Where I was going with that was that, yeah, I think it'd be very silly to realize there aren't differences between the genders, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that's something wrong with it. And that's, you're right. I'm glad that you said that Thorin actually had a good point here, because that could just be the difference in what men and women want to hear. But there's nothing wrong with that. They both bring their own values.
But I'm just saying, like, this is just him wanting attention at the end of the day. Like, he's
probably.
Like,
I'll agree with you on that one.
Yeah, he was not adding anything to this. He just wanted attention. Look, we gave it to you. You're welcome.
Wow, somehow we ended up agreeing at the end of this one.
Continue.
All right, move on. Since we ventured into the great abyss of tweets that don't matter, Thorin tweeted shade at CSGO pro Zeus, saying he was a competent individual who puts in practice hours, yada, 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 then says it was just an April Fool's joke. So Zeus responds with, hi everyone, just wanted to say that Thorin is a great person and a competent analyst. Almost every pro player thinks he is a nice fellow and understands CS quite well. Well, I could never really be good at April Fool's jokes. You gotta bleep me out too.
I know, we got 2 bleeps today. Listen, I think that's funny. I think that he got a lot of likes on that, like an alarming amount of likes. And they just have a back and forth. Obviously, Thorin has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the industry, not just analysts, players too, because of just tweets like the one he had, where he didn't actually need to call it Zeus either. Like, he started it. He started all of this. Like, he needs basically, bottom line is, this guy needs attention. We're giving it to him.
It's
You're
working.
welcome.
It's
working. You're welcome.
Again, at the end of the day, he creates enemies because he's not good at bringing his points up.
Yeah.
But he brings up points that are good to discuss.
I think we need to count on the show for how many times we say at the end of the day, because that was like 4 times already, and I think I want to cancel that whole phrase.
At the end of the day?
At the end of the day. How many people say that? So many people say it.
Producers start muting us. Anytime we say at the end of the day, auto mute.
Okay, moving on here before we get to the end of the day, but this is the best April Fool's joke of all, because it comes from, well, shared DM slides via cosplayer Jessica Negri with an April Fool's promise. She says, due to popular demand, I am so excited to announce that I will be adding a new top tier on my Patreon, where I sent you your choice of booty gas in either a glass jar or a plastic baggie. Only $1,000 per hit of the good SHIT. She responds to the tweet by saying, this is a joke, these DMs are not. Some of those DMs include things like, I wish you'd kiss my butthole like you kissed that dog, and you can sign a pair of panties. Oh, can you sign a pair of panties that will give me pink eye and send them? And a bunch of other fart requests. So Brody, I need to know why you continue to send her DMs when I've asked you not to.
I do like farts. I really think a lot of these were definitely jokes. Like,
no, Brody,
who
I'm
actually wants pink eye?
Do you know how many sickies there are out there? Have you any idea?
Or maybe you just misunderstand comedy.
No, listen, there are guys out there that will actually pay for, first of all, dirty underwear.
No, you
that's
are
like
right,
a full-on thing, and I think he actually does want dirty underwear to give him pink eye, because that's, I guess, a thing too. Guys will pay for women to fart in their face. That's a thing. If you're not aware of this, well, you haven't really been on the internet.
I mean, everybody's got their fetishes. That's okay. I just don't think there's that many. I also feel like those were the tamest of the DMs that she gets. When you say Jessica Negri, I'm like, well, we're getting in today.
That's what I mean. Like, those aren't jokes. That's real life for her. That's a DM daily for her.
At the same time, I do like jokes, or jokes about farts. Farts and jokes. Anyways, let's move on. I alluded to it earlier, but it's time for some crowd control, where the content carries the rest of the segment because I'm too tired for any more opinions, really. Starting us off, this post reminded me why I don't have pets or children. Quite perfectly, this was submitted by Careless Gamer, and I feel like you might be able to relate to this.
Why?
Because rip to all the Nintendogs that haven't been fed since 2007.
Oh my God.
I had Nintendogs, and I have not turned it on since Probably 2007. I'm just wondering, what was the longest you spent away from your Animal Crossing friends?
Oh, well, Animal Crossing is totally different because they're self-sufficient. Like, they're just out there living their lives.
They just get super passive-aggressive when you come back like, oh, where were you for the last 2 years?
Yeah, completely. Like, I feel for these dogs. But I feel like they kind of are immortalized and now live forever in Smash Ultimate with one of the maps. So, like, they're still out there kicking.
But are they getting fed? Either way, F in chat for all the doggos.
Oh, I'm sorry. Listen, our next...
It's all your fault.
Our next rose reminds us that Minecraft isn't going anywhere, especially with that modder Sonic Ether is doing in the game. This post is by King_KR, shows us what a glimpse of ray of tracing Minecraft. Okay.
Yeah, rip PC. Also, I could do this if my PC was back. That's so beautiful. Look at these mods.
This is real?
Like, yeah, that's like, it looks photorealistic, dude.
This looks like real life.
Yeah, Minecraft is real life. I mean, it's better than real life.
That's not true. There are zombies in
Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Could have that mod if my PC was back in my hands.
Oh my God, you just use that post.
Can we all feel really bad that I still don't have
nobody
my
feels
RTX
bad for
2080?
You have like 5 subscribers on Twitch. Nobody feels bad for you.
Wow! Actually inaccurate, but not far off. Really, and all no, not sub-dubs.
Oh, I was gonna sub-dub, yeah.
Not sub-dubs. Anyways, last post. Now I know that April Fool's is over, but of course I had to show you guys what Ubisoft got up to in one of their games, For Honor. I pulled a small clip from Zero Craig's video to show you.
Oh God, the raw scream of the rabbits, dude.
Why do they have human asses?
I was about to say, they're not thick.
Why do they have human asses? They're rabbits.
Every menu item. I love these crosswords. Every menu item. That would get so frustrating if you were playing for the whole day.
Oh my God, how wonderful is that? It's true. Why do they have human asses? It doesn't make any sense.
Because they're rabbits, the rabid rabbits.
The rabid rabbits don't have little bunny tails?
Rabid rabbits.
Have they never had bunny tails this whole time?
I don't think so. No, they're the weirdest looking rabbits, dude. Can you imagine just coming into the game, a bunch of these little adorable heckers just come along?
I guess they do have to get rid of the little bunny tail because that would make them cute, and the rabbits aren't supposed to be cute. They're supposed to be rabbits?
They're supposed to be stupid AF, and that's what they are.
All right, listen, good to have you back, Brody Moore.
Oh, hey. I'll leave you in a day from now.
Okay, fine. Let us know who you think won the battle today. Type 1 in chat for me and 2 in chat for Brody, and let us know in Discord. Well, hit in the socials. Type !socials right now so you can find us. Bye. There are not a lot of games coming out this week, so instead, let's take a look ahead to see what else is coming out this April. Objection! I love when I get to say that, especially now in the loadout thanks to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. This collection contains the first 3 games in the mainline Ace Attorney series, making it the perfect game for newcomers and fans who want to play the games all over again on new consoles. For those who don't know, Ace Attorney is a series of visual novel adventure games where you play as a defense attorney, Phoenix Wright. Your job is to defend your clients in each case you're assigned, searching for clues outside of the courtroom and engaging in heated battles in front of the judge. In the investigation phase, you must talk to witnesses and search crime scenes for clues. By talking to witnesses, you can present information that can lead to new evidence to help your case. Inside the courtroom, you have to cross-examine witnesses, searching for lies and inconsistencies to help you in your case. It is this over-the-top premise that has helped the Ace Attorney series gain a big fan base. And while we would all like to play a brand new Ace Attorney game, revisiting the trilogy that started it all is a great alternative.
Good to go up here. Mindset. That should hold.
It's been nearly 6 years since the release of the World War Z movie, which means it's as good a time as any for the video game adaptation to come out. But seriously, the World War Z video game is coming out, and it promises loads of zombie killing action. World War Z is a 4-player co-op multiplayer shooter where you play as the survivors of a zombie apocalypse that is overwhelming the world. Choosing from one of 6 character classes, you'll travel through New York City, Jerusalem, and other cities as you try to survive the zombie hordes. You'll build traps, make defense emplacements, and kill thousands upon thousands of zombies. Say what you will about the movie it's based on, but in the game, those hordes of zombies look absolutely terrifying. We haven't had a Left 4 Dead style game in a while, and judging from what we know so far, World War Z looks to be a pretty good co-op game to play with your friends. Mortal Kombat! Mortal Kombat 11 is finally here, and we are so excited to get our hands on NetherRealm Studios' latest entry in its iconic fighting game franchise. All the classic Mortal Kombat elements are here, the brutal attacks, the brutaler special moves, and the ridiculously over-the-top fatalities. But this time, there are some new mechanics entering the fray that will shake things up. Fatal blows are strong attacks that can only be used when a character's health drops below 30% and are meant to replace X-ray attacks. Crushing blows are unique cinematic versions of special moves, provided certain requirements are met. And flawless blocks allow for a comeback window if you manage to execute the perfect block. Outside of the gameplay, Mortal Kombat 11 is defined by the sheer amount of returning characters. Classic characters like Johnny Cage and Liu Kang are coming back, along with fan favorites like Scarlet, Cabal, and Noob Saibot. And this time around, you can customize what your favorite characters can wear, as well as variations of their special moves. All in all, Mortal Kombat is back again, and you know you don't want to miss it. Sony's big first exclusive of the year is Days Gone, a post-apocalyptic action game set in the aftermath of a zombie outbreak. You play as Deacon St. John, a former outlaw who now works as a bounty hunter in Oregon. You'll travel between rival wilderness camps, each with their own ideology and personality, as you take on missions and simply try to make a living. As an action survival horror game with an open world, Days Gone lets you choose how you want to approach an objective. Want to go in guns blazing while riding your motorcycle? Go ahead. Want to sneak in through the bushes and silently pick off bandits with a knife? That works too. Want to lead a horde of freakers into the camp and let them do your job for you? Well, you really should do that option because it's clearly the best one. Days Gone is defined by the amount of options you have. You can upgrade Deacon's motorcycle with new parts to make it faster or tougher. Craft new items that can give him that tiny edge in combat against a zombie bear. Wait till it's raining at night before you raid an encampment. There's a lot of stuff to do in Days Gone, and it's a zombie apocalypse unlike anything you've ever seen before.
The only game we're looking forward to this month is definitely Mortal Kombat 11. I was practicing my fatalities. Getting pretty good in the beta. We were practicing there in the green room. Later on, we're actually going to be looking at esports in 30 OWL. But first, let's check out what went down in the green room earlier today, fueled by Red Bull.
Alright, Camille, you're shot calling.
Okay, come on over here, come on out. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That was so bad.
Go down, go down.
You got it, you got it. It's all you, bro.
I know it. Go. Oh my gosh, sir.
Camille.
All you had to do is give me a little bit of wiggle room. I couldn't go forward anymore.
We had telekinesis.
The thing was getting full.
I couldn't move anymore. You had to move forward.
Yeah, and like grab the stick, and then it dragged the Goomba away. He's too light. The Goomba was too light.
You guys, they weren't even talking.
Trying to keep him alive, and now we can pick the end of the sound. Now the answering grab go through. OT gonna be ticking down, and they've actually done it. Dynasty say thank you very much. We're going to the semi. Super. He has to be careful. He's caught out. He's down. That's the first pick, and now the rest would follow. Bumpy hits a huge shadow, and the Vancouver Titans stand on the precipice. They say the North never forgets. The Vancouver Titans are staying
Hello, fellow gamers and noobs. Welcome to Esports in 30, the show where we take a deep dive into all of your favorite esports. A different one every day of the week. It's Tuesday today, which means you're stuck with me, AJ Fry, and my co-host, who we're all sorry to be stuck with. It's Ron Renanthra-Lee.
You can't, you get my name right, but you have to insult me in my intro. So I don't know how to feel. Am I supposed to be happy or?
You're supposed to be happy. I glossed over your current title as coach of UC Irvine's Overwatch team. You had a tournament over the weekend. How'd you do? I'm just making everything worse for Ron right now.
Who's our guest today, AJ?
Before we deep dive into the first stage, where we're going with the second stage, we will have a former grasshopper of Ron's tutelage calling in to offer a player's perspective on everything. Before we get to that, though, here's a little video quickly recapping some of the big storylines from stage one. Do you need a hug?
It's happening! Could be at the second ticks! Getting ready to come through! Kellick's gonna be eliminated! Prince is out from Aim God, but it's gonna expire. They will be able to finish him off. There you go! They're gonna get in! Just a couple more percent to go! Let them have it, Boston! Axiom, top of the Primal Rage, but it does not matter! Ladies and gentlemen, history has been made! The Shanghai Dragons, on the 43rd attempt out, managed to pick up their first match victory! Love to see the ground. Knocks him out. That's going to be a hack on Jonik, as you say, in the back. He can't use a transcendence. He gets realized him. It comes in late. Echo's trying to stay in the suit. We'll be able to do so, but just for a little bit longer. Now they pop him out. They take him down. The card advances. Soul Dynasty. They make it look easy. They can still make this work, but it's going to be in overtime. As they work their way forward. What was that? He eats it on one side. It doesn't do jack. Echo throws a bomb into the back of this play, trying to find something. Finally, EMB comes in. The Shatter's absolutely huge. Jonik trying to keep him alive, and Anomal gets picked in the sound barrier. Now the answering grab comes through. OT gonna be ticking down, and they've actually done it. Nene chokes at the final hour, throws the grab off to the side, and Dynasty say thank you very much. We're going to the semis.
What are they doing right now?
That is interesting.
That is a really...
You get over the roof there?
Oh my.
Oh my, what a play, what a grab!
Tosses in the grab, they're gonna make it work. And Cruz taken out by the ensuing self-destruct. Atlanta Rain breaking through that in the most stylish way I've ever seen. Cruz is a feeder!
It's a lot like playing cello in a marching band.
Yeah.
Oh! Oh no! Still holding onto the grab. Answering grab coming through from Vancouver. Locks him in the sound barrier. Sound. It's gonna be the bomb coming in from Jono. Oh my God! Miguel! He does it again!
Oh, this is gonna hurt. There it is. Okay. Not as bad as it could have been. And Bumper's going to be a little bit out of position, but still the Titans are able to turn this around. The shock are too greedy for that, but Super, he has to be careful. He's caught out of position. He's down. That's the first pick, and now the rest would follow. Bumper hits a huge shatter, and the Vancouver Titans stand on the precipice. They say the North never forgets, and now the North will never be forgotten. The Vancouver Titans, your stage 1 champions.
So much managed to happen in those few short weeks of the first stage, and before we look ahead to stage 2, we have a little bit of cleanup to do on all of that. So to help us do just that, welcome to the show, support for Mayhem Academy, Nolan Paintbrush Edwards. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Doing pretty good. Yeah.
You guys want to have a little hello? You know one another.
Long time no see. Nice beard.
Yeah, how's it going? Yeah.
Got some wins.
Yeah, we're doing good now, you know.
How does that feel?
It's a little better than last season.
He's going to come at me like that the whole show, isn't he?
Maybe. We'll talk about your team in just a bit, but let's talk about the first stage of OWL here. Did any team in the league surprise you, Paintbrush? Did anything blow you away, or did anyone blow you away?
Definitely the Vancouver Titans. I was expecting them to do good throughout the stage. Definitely wasn't expecting that hard roll that they did all the way through to playoffs. Was a really good game with Shock, though. Like they really put up a fight, and that was a really impressive match to watch.
Were there any other teams on your list who kind of caught you off guard with what they brought to the league?
Well, some teams being as low as they were, definitely caught me by surprise. There were certain teams running comps, like the Chengdu Hunters. That was definitely a little surprise to me.
Yeah, and they were certainly fun to watch, breaking the meta, throwing us all kinds of random compositions in there. Well, not random, strategized, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they were planned.
Yeah.
They, them rolling around,
sure.
that was all strategy. They drafted the rotations and everything, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll be eager to see how they do in the second stage. Okay, so let's talk about Mayhem, if we can, for a moment here.
Okay.
Obviously, being on the contender team, the academy team, what is the relationship with the main team then? Do you get to hang out with those guys, watch them practice? How does it all work?
So in our facility, we have 2 rooms right next to each other. So we do get to interact with them a lot. We actually got to scrim them a decent amount too last stage. So that was a really good learning experience for us. They did have us try to run some ball comps at times to practice for Chengdu. And yeah, that was an experience. We had to learn the comp for them. But overall, our schedules don't necessarily line up to the point where we can really hang out. They're usually at the facility a little later than we are. So they're doing their thing, we're doing ours, but we're both grinding, so that's good.
Cool. Do you guys take the same notes and apply the same lessons to your teams, or are you separate enough that you're trying to do your own thing and improve in your own ways?
So each team is definitely improving in their own ways. Like, we each have things that we need to personally work on.
Yeah.
But the coaches do definitely interact. So there's times where they'll throw us a bone, we'll throw them a bone. But overall, we're working on our individual things.
So it's not super tight, but there is some kind of things that transfer back and forth.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at a loss as to what to ask here, Ron.
Me and Nolan have a lot of history, so I'm packed full of questions here.
Yeah.
Some that might be a little bit difficult. So here's a fun one, I think.
Okay.
I know Nolan's from New York.
Yeah.
I am.
He is, but he's playing for the Florida Mayhem.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Right. So if let's say you weren't on the Florida Mayhem, right? You're not a part of the organization. Who is your favorite team in the league besides them? Do you have a horse in this race outside of Florida?
Well, it's not Nixel, I'll tell you that much.
But they're so good.
I know, but I'm a really big fan of Fuel and Valiant. Those are my next 2 teams. I want to say Nixel just because I'm from New York, but I just can't do it.
What is it about the Fuel and the Valiant that make you fans of them?
Just some of the players on the roster, staff. I'm a big fan of the color green. That's not a lie. That's not a lie. That was actually the first favorite color when I was a little kid. I was like, yeah, I love green. The green Power Ranger, he was my thing. So
he's my favorite too.
For sure.
How are you feeling, being associated with the McDonald team then?
Oh, it's great. I love McDonald's.
Yeah, they order McDonald's all the time.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, it's
that
delicious.
And Chick-fil-A.
I'm happy to be a part, or a fan, I should say, of a team with the awesome color scheme of black and red up here in Toronto. Do you have any players in OWL that you look to for inspiration? Any support flex that you're a fan of?
So I watched a lot of Slime POV. His Lucio is very, very strong. Masa, I watch his POV a lot, and Moth. Those 3 Lucios are probably ones where I've learned the most from. As far as individual leadership role, it definitely has to be a player like Custa.
Wow. How would you compare yourself in that standing amongst your favorites? Do you think you're Overwatch League ready? Do you think you have more to learn from them?
I think I'm close, really close. But there's definitely a lot more to learn. I definitely have a ways to go as far as my expectations for myself and for where a support player of any caliber should be.
Well, can I ask a deeper question about that then? I play all the time. I do not play anywhere near the level that you guys play at.
Platinum.
Yeah, I'm a low platinum at best, but I grind it, guys.
We'll get you there.
I play tons. But so what are those differences that separate the people who make it into OWL versus the people who are in contenders or are currently playing on the circuit in college and university? What are those little mechanical differences, or is it
mechanical at all?
Yeah. So what is it? What puts you over the top?
So in my opinion, it's actually not mechanics. So a majority of professional or semi-professional players generally have very strong mechanics to begin with, aside from the occasional main support player that gets through with just comms or just being an IGL. For me to make the leap from, say, contenders to Owl, it's really nailing down consistency in your comms, your game knowledge, just your ability to kind of like be a leader inside of the game. So that's been the hard thing I've been working on, is just making sure that I really understand my leadership role within the team and really like harping on that for myself.
So given that topic of leadership, when you're watching as a part of the audience these Overwatch League games, how do you discern, or is it even possible to discern who's a really good leader or who's really good at shot calling just from looking from the outside?
That's honestly really hard. It's hard to tell who's being the IGL. You can look for the emotional leader. That'll generally be the person you can see it in their face. They're very invested. They are very like talkative to their teams. You can tell through their body language whether they're like leaning around, getting people like riled up. But overall, it's still really hard just to see by who's talking on stage or what they're doing.
All right, well, let's think beyond just support players. All players in the league, who is your standout MVP of the first stage?
Of the first stage? Well, I'm going to take it back to my friendly support players, and I'm going to have to pick my boy Masa.
Yeah.
I've actually never talked to him before, so I guess he's not necessarily my boy, but I love his Lucio performance, and I think he's going to be a very strong contender going through the rest of the season.
Ron, a counter thought on stage 1 MVP?
You know what? I'll roll with his answer. I got to support my former Grasshopper. I think Masa's a great choice. He doesn't stand out a ton because his team overall isn't super high in the standings.
Right.
But I've seen Masa play various times, in scrims and stuff like that, and his mechanics excel. His shot calling is great. He has a really funny voice. Like it's hard not to pay attention to him because his voice is so distinct. Nolan, give us an impersonation. Go.
I can't do it.
It's like it's very funny. Someone should pull up a clip or something on air later. It's hilarious.
All right. Well, we got to talk about another player with a very distinct voice as we move on to the second stage. The retirement of a legend, a man who made his dreams into memes and showed off his stuff in a very impressive Overwatch League career, the troll legend himself, Defran. Before we talk about that news and so much more, let's check out a short tribute to the aim god himself.
You think I can post bomb the Pharah? Watch this.
Woo! What is this? What are they doing right now?
That is interesting.
That is a really...
Can you get over the roof there?
Oh my.
Oh my,
what a play, what a grab!
Tosses in the grab, they're gonna make it work. And Cruz taken out by the ensuing self-destruct. Atlanta Reign breaking through that in the most stylish way I've ever seen.
Do you have anything you want to say to your fans?
With the help of Twitch Prime, I immediately managed to pop off.
Great help you in that.
Speed boost. Let's go, dude! Okay.
So it seems as though he has redeemed himself now, leaving on a very professional note without any grand exclamations or anything eye-catching. What are your thoughts here, Paintbrush? Are they going to replace him with someone from the Contenders team? Are they going to sign a new agent? What do you think Atlanta's going to do with this?
I think they're definitely going to weigh their options. I don't know for sure. I could see them definitely pulling up someone from their Contenders team, although I could also see them picking up someone new, maybe someone with a little more experience or leadership role within the team. But regardless, I'm very sad to see Defran go.
Aren't you familiar with another hitscan player, may or may not be on your team, that's also from Denmark?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I think his name is Shax.
Yeah.
He's
pretty good.
Very insane at the video game. So, hey, Atlanta, maybe.
But do you do that? Do you pick up people just because they're from the same region?
I'm not saying it's because he's from the region. I'm just saying he'd be a good cultural fit given the circumstances.
True, and he's genuinely insane at the video game.
Yeah, he's back in LA.
Hard carry this meta.
Yeah, Shax is really, really good.
Yes.
How do you think Atlanta will actually look moving forward with the loss of Defran? Is he like the linchpin of the team? I mean, they still got Dogman, they still got lots of talent on the roster. Are they going to be able to recover from this loss?
I think they'll be able to. I don't I don't think it's a necessarily like team-breaking switch for their roster. I do see it like hurting them, maybe team morale, but I think they'll bounce back very strong from it.
Well, that moves us into teams looking to bounce back from less than stellar performances in the first stage. We're talking LA Valiant and Washington Justice. So when you're on a team and you've got this losing streak, do you kind of put those benchmarks of the playoffs at the end of the season and even the stage 2 playoffs out of your mind and just focus on like winning every game and making those minor improvements? What are your general approaches to being in that position, which is obviously not the case for you this season, Paintbrush, doing so well?
Just win everything. That's the answer.
Yeah,
just don't lose.
If you just win, you don't lose. So that's a really good way to go about it. Well, so we all know that Overwatch League is definitely a marathon rather than a short sprint.
Right.
So in my opinion, if things are going poorly or you're starting to lose games, maybe you think you shouldn't be losing, do not panic. Do not ramp up how hard you're working. You should have a nice, consistent schedule and keep it steady the whole way through. Just keep grinding it out. You'll get to the results eventually. The worst thing you can do is start lunging out for it. People will just start falling apart. People will burn out. It's not really the best way to do it.
Well, talking about the Valiant, the Washington Justice once again, do you think there are things they could actually look to improve to see more immediate results going into stage 2?
Well, I'm not necessarily sure what their internal issues are. If it would be maybe clashing cultures, personalities. Maybe you look towards some roster changes.
Which Justice have done. They picked up Arc.
True.
Yeah.
Very true, which is a good pickup for them in my opinion. Maybe you could do something more to merge the two cultures together or get people talking, maybe some team bonding. If it's some individual in-game play, like inside of the game stuff, just focus. It's a marathon. Trust the grind, trust the process.
Well, with Overwatch being a relatively new sport in the grand scheme of things, nothing like the MLB or NFL with long-standing grudges between teams, London Spitfire may have the beginnings of a little chip on their shoulder after that stunning loss to Seoul. First season champions, now struggling. What do they have to do in order to pull themselves out of the position that they found themselves in after the end of this first stage?
Just trust themselves. They're all good players. They have a good thing going for them. As long as they stay in it and play their game, I think they'll be looking strong.
I mean, again, like London Spitfire have never lost a Soul before. They're so confident. They're saying, I think, was it Birdring? Someone on that team said on social media, as long as I'm part of this team, then Seoul won't ever win against us. And lo and behold, we saw kind of that backfire a little bit. Have you ever been in that scenario where you're like, okay, underrated a team or something and like took an unexpected loss? How'd you recover?
Yeah, and it definitely hits your ego pretty hard. It stings quite a bit. It's a pretty hard hit. You just have to go next. It's a really weird feeling. I don't know how to explain it, but you're packed up with all these emotions and you don't have any choice but to use it to grind and go to the next game. There's really nothing else you can do.
Funnel it into motivation is basically what you're saying.
Pretty much. That's a way better way of saying it.
Well, Chinese fans must be motivated right now, as their teams must be as well. We're all sitting in the middle of the pack. Shanghai, Chengdu, Hangzhou, and Guangzhou. Hopefully I'm saying all that right there.
Guangzhou.
There we go. They got to be doing well. Anything catching your eye from these teams, Paintbrush? Anyone thinking, or are you thinking anything to stand out in this second stage?
Well, I'm not necessarily sure how to answer that one. I'm really looking forward to where the meta will fall, and I think if it goes back goats, maybe we'll see some of the same results from these teams. If the meta shifts, I could see some of these rosters really, really making a climb through the rankings. But overall, I'm not really sure where the meta's falling yet.
If you had to take a guess, where would you hedge your bets?
On the meta?
Yes, on the meta game.
Okay. So I have a crazy, crazy theory, and I don't know how crazy it is, but I think our Rissa Baptiste comps are going to be insane.
Bunker comps, eh?
So, yeah, I think it's going to be crazy. You throw that Immortability, like my team calls it Immortability, so I'm going to call it Immortability. You throw the Immortability down, and you can perma peek a sniper. There's a Widow, it doesn't matter, she can't kill you. So I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
So
that will be interesting. Yeah. We've had some conversations around the office of like maybe seeing Bastion actually getting some play with Baptiste's invulnerability shield in there. But I think that's probably a stronger contender for this. If we do get that meta shifting gameplay in this second stage, who do you think will be the teams that will most benefit from that new approach to the game?
I think Shock will be very strong.
Oh, Shock again.
There might be teams that benefit from it more because Shock is already doing relatively well. Their Ghost is actually very, very strong. But I can see that team having a main tank like Super. You can really, really make use of the Ursa. I feel like he's a really smart player, and there's a lot of cool things you can do on that hero to really cheese the enemy team with the pull. I don't know. It's a terrifying thing if the Ursa is good.
Are you concerned about the meta falling into, if you're right and snipers are really strong, seeing a more sniper-centric kind of swingy metagame like we had in Stage 1? Or not Stage 1, but last season?
Season 1.
I would like that. I have a crazy, crazy Mercy, and if that means I get to play Mercy, I'm all for it.
Oh, okay. Confident.
Do you think that we'll see a different meta for contenders in relation to OWL, or is it always the case that contenders really just tries to mirror what's going on in the main league?
I think you'll see contenders teams mirroring. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be going on to the Baptiste patch for playoffs. I think that was public knowledge. It's fine. Oh well. So I think we'll just copy what Owl's doing. I think they'll have some time grinding different comps and finding out what's good. So it makes more sense for us to kind of build off of the steps they've put there for us rather than trying to make our own. But in all honesty, we'll probably still see a lot of teams playing GOATs just because of the lack of time to practice the new comps.
Sure.
Yeah, it's familiar, it's comfortable, everyone knows how to do it. Well, the Mayhem Academy team, as we mentioned, have been doing incredibly well. How has the team grown over the past few seasons, and why do you think you're in such a great position now?
I'm honestly getting goosebumps thinking about this. The team is definitely a family. There is no other way of putting it.
Yeah.
Everyone on this team has each other's backs, and we are all here for the same reason. We all want Owl. We all want to win. So it definitely helps that the Florida Mayhem as a whole has given us the environment to focus on improving. Whether we win or we lose, our goal is to develop as players. We have the resources to do that, and we really do have the players to really go along with that mentality. So I really just think it's down to the team atmosphere, the culture, and how hard we've been working.
I mean, talking about contenders and more about the culture and your team specifically, what players do you think from your team will be the ones to rise up to Owl first if you had to take a guess? Or maybe not from your team. What other players do you think are Owl caliber and we'll see joining either mid-season or by next season?
Well, so if we're looking at just my roster, I can definitely see Shax going very, very soon. Shax is a very, very strong player. His mechanics are actually insane, and he's really been working on his communication. So there are some players that might knock him for being a silent fragger, but he's really been working on that. So I can see how a team picking him up soon. I could see a team picking me up, maybe, if they need a main support mid-season. There are some teams that might be lacking in that role.
Plug.
Little bit of a plug, but it's true. I could see actually Fact Fiction. He is an amazing leader in game. Some players know him as maybe getting a little emotionally invested at times, but that's something that he's really been able to get a nice good control over, and he's been working very, very hard. So he's actually the one calling in game for us. After every fight, I'll track ults. I'll make sure we have a nice game plan on the way. In fact, pumps out the call, I'll add on to it, but it's primarily him doing our rotations and guiding us around.
Well, it sounds like you guys have an awesome system, and again, I couldn't be happier to hear you guys are finding success.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I was going to say, I'd be very excited for you to succeed and get that place in OWL, but it sounds like you're having so much fun where you are, so I hope you get to continue to enjoy that.
Yeah, you stay contenders forever. Yeah, just stay. It's fine.
It's great.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, on that note, that is all the time that we have for you today, Paintbrush. It's been awesome having you on the show. Best of luck, and we'll see you in the future.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Ron, we got just a few minutes left, but we got lots to talk about. Where do we even start? Should we start with April Fool's Day and Reinhardt?
Yeah, let's go with April Fool's. It was yesterday, and that was a ride of a time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to ranked, and then I had a couple of Reinhardt players message some odd things, followed by, you know, his voice lines in all caps. So it was weird to see Reinhardt say maybe some things out of character, followed by his classic catchphrases.
I was just impressed that they're able to embed an April Fool's Day gag actually into the game. You don't often see that. You'll see like games marketing material or little fake trailers for things, but an actual April Fool's Day joke popping up in game is very cool.
Yeah, it caught me and like my entire 6-stack of players off guard. We were all cackling and laughing. We forgot what heroes we had to play, and it was like, oh my god, okay, that was funny, but now there's like 15 seconds. We have to pick
on this. We got to cap the point. Okay, obviously Baptiste is out in rank today.
Yes.
We thought it was last week, but it's actually here now. What are your big concerns here, Ron?
I'm worried that I won't get my role today. I'm worried, you know, coming in as a support player, everyone will be taking my hero away. I'm really worried that people won't have practiced him beforehand, or going in fresh and just learning him on the fly, because that's a great idea.
With Anna and Moira as well when they were released. It's like, no guys, I'm the support main. Don't play these characters if you don't know how to heal people.
Yeah, like DPS players will pick him, being like, oh my god, look how much damage he does, right? And he just doesn't do that much damage.
He can do some, and especially with the amplification shield.
Is it his role?
It's not his role.
Is he designed to do damage?
Heal and support.
Then don't pick him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, ABC picked up the playoffs and broadcast them. On our last show, we were talking about people's negative reaction, but now we should talk about the fact that lots of people were watching, including 367,000 people.
That's a big number.
Watched on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that compare to like traditional TV, out of curiosity? Do you have experience?
Yeah, it depends on, you know, it wasn't prime time. It was the middle of the day on a weekend, so usually people are out and doing things. So you might expect that like maybe 1 to 2 million would be sort of your average viewer. So it was a little bit less, but for an esport premiering in the middle of the day, that's still maintaining a lot of people's attention, and that's certainly
not counting Twitch either.
Yeah,
total
that's not
viewership.
counting what your viewership on Twitch is as well. So that's pretty impressive for Overwatch League, and hopefully those ratings continue, especially in the States, and just brings in more viewers and more celebration. To,
I mean that's the hope. That's how we get that's how we get our careers to take off when you're on TV.
Yeah, and there was March Madness going on at the same time, so lots of people were probably checking that out if they were sports fans. And sports fans in Vancouver will be very excited to hear that the Titans will have a new home for the 3rd season of Overwatch League, and that is the Rogers Arena out there.
Massive place.
Yeah,
it fills like
18,000 seats.
It's massive. It's no small. Like Philly Fusion is building their own arena. You know, whatever.
I think it's only cool, like 3,000 seats for the Philly Fusion, something along those lines. And I even feel like it's interesting because when you go to watch competitive live sports, it's obviously a big arena works because there's big action. But really, an Overwatch match could be played in a basement. Like, yeah, because it's just 6 people sitting around computers. Yeah. Exactly. Me too. It's just a LAN party, guys. So you don't necessarily need that huge arena of 18,000 people, but if you've got the fan base, and the Titans are doing as well as they are, and it's, you know, the same venue as the Vancouver Canucks, same ownership, so why not make use of that space if you can?
I mean, I don't think they'll have any problems filling out every single seat on like the minute tickets are opening. I mean, I remember when I went downtown to the Rogers Arena here, and then we had, you know, it was for League of Legends. There was like the LAN final. Oh yeah. And like the second I went to the website to buy a ticket, crashed.
Wow.
Instantly. I had to refresh the page for like maybe 5-6 minutes until it finally magically worked. I snagged a bunch of them for my friends. It was hard to breathe going into that place. It was so packed.
It's so weird because if you're in the know with esports, you know just how huge and popular this stuff is. But if you're not in the know, your perception of it is like
completely foreign.
Little thing that like there's a few people who like that thing. There's a differential.
There's a dozen of guys that might watch this.
There's a moment soon, and it's going to happen within the next couple of years, I'm sure, where it's just going to tip, and everyone's going to be aware of how huge this is all become.
What year?
I don't know. Maybe 2020.
2020? I'll say this is the year.
2019.
Yeah.
We'll see.
By Christmas?
I don't know. How do you identify that moment?
I don't know. I don't. When my grandmother knows.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
my grandmother doesn't even speak English, so that'll be
your grandmother more often.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But we got to wrap it up. That's all for OWL Talk here today. Thank you to Paintbrush for calling in, and of course, thank you at home for opening your ears and listening to us nerd out about video games. Don't forget, Drew and Brody will be here tomorrow to chat all things fighting games and NorCal regionals. And finally, check out our socials at Squad State for all kinds of goodies. See you in the future.
Fun fact: Ron loves pickles. Actually, he likes pickle juice, lots of it. Remember, we're back again tomorrow starting at 1 p.m. Eastern with gameplay live from the green room. Then again at 8 p.m. Eastern with more Unmuted, and in Esports in 30, it's FGC night. Till then, you can tune into all of our socials at Squad State and our YouTube channel for all the VODs in case you missed anything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.